Live. And what is up, YouTube? Welcome to another edition of the Sunday Night Live Show. Again, for those of you that don't know, bear with me. I'm adjusting to this new setup. I've got lots of different things going on and around here. I've got microphones in my face. I've got cameras going over there, and sometimes it just randomly turns off. I've got all kinds of software going. It is just chaotic. So again, bear with me as I get used to this. So, man, I am so glad, one, to be home, two, to be doing the live stream. It has been a really, really intense last week. I guess to fill y'all in a little bit about what's going on, for the entirety of this week, I have been at the plant in Kentucky. It's been chaotic there because we were getting really, really close to running. In fact, little inside information. What's up, William Poole? 901 in the house. Vols #1. That's what I'm talking about. A little bit on the inside, we actually started production. We did not start production in Carbon X because we are still dialing in machines, load cells, opening, close, knife gates, all that fun stuff has to be in perfect sync, especially since the majority of our process is automated. So, needless to say, I spent the last 6 days in Kentucky, and I am exhausted. I'm running on very little sleep. I bet I've slept 14, maybe 15 hours since then, and it's been really intense. Casey, it's in Calhoun, Kentucky. So, again, I'm back, and I'm glad to be home. Glad to see the family, the kids. My cat is going to attack again because it has no idea what is going on. So, thanks for looking good on the stream. All right, excellent, excellent, the lawn stripes. So, for those of you that have never tuned in, one, thank you for tuning in. Two, I'll give you a little bit of rundown of how this typically works. So, this is the Grass Factor live stream, and what I usually do is I have a very, very open format, and what I mean by that is y'all ask questions, I answer them. This is in no way just a scripted or anything in particular I have that I want to follow. That is not the case. What I want to do is answer the questions that matter to you, because I can talk about lots and lots of things, but what's most important is that I'm actually tapping into the subject that you want to hear spoken about. So, usually, after I tune in, I give everybody a big, hey, what's up, and a little background stories, what's going on, I move on to my favorite part of the evening, and that is roll call. I see people calling it over there in the chat a little bit early, so I'm going to run through here real quick, say what's going on to everybody. Kevin McCarthy looks like he was first. Hashtag first. Get him. Connor Ward. Eric Von Waddell. What is going on, man? Casey Turner, how are you? Good, sir. Glad you're here. Gorgonzola. What's up, dude, over there in the North Carolina? Toby Howard, how are you? Good, sir. Go Chiefs. That's all right. I'm good with that. Gary Evans. Lambert. That's what I'm talking about. It's not so much about being first as it is just being before Connor, says the old J Pink. For those of you that haven't, I know it's cold probably everywhere on the eastern half of the United States right now, really across the entirety of the United States. So this is what I would recommend you do. I recommend you hop over to thatonecupcakeplace.com and place an order. Overnight, use some of the most amazing cupcakes you have ever had. I'm just saying, I did it. Maybe you should try it. I think you'd really enjoy it. That's all I'm going to say. Troy Sherrill, what's going on? I think I already said hey to you. Telly Coleman, what's going on, good sir? The lawn care nut. Alan Hain creeping in over there. Well, how are you, good sir? Welcome back from Mexico. Viva Mexico, man. Hopefully you got to watch a good game of soccer over there and enjoy más cervezas. What's going on, RBL Jackson? Lawn tips. Gary Evans again. The greener lawn. What's going on, man? Shane Brady. What's up over in Nebraska? Brian Hopkins, man, like 2 feet last night. My goodness. Glenn Stevens, how are you, good sir? Lush Lawns, Rev D. What's up, good sir? Chris with Holland install, Mr. Smith over there. Riley, how are you, good sir? Larry Nelson, what's going on from Mobile, Alabama? Scoot Dog, what's up, dude? How are you? Mr. Poole, saying hey to you again. Mr. Kosinski, what's up, my homie? How are you, good sir? Brian Watson, Bermuda Flyer, Dave Reese 6. Man, I'll tell you exactly what's good, and that is it's good to be home. You know what I'm saying. Kyle, Ben, y'all, what's up, my man? Scott G. Catbird Feeder down from M-I-double-S-I-double-S-I-double-P-I. What is going on, Miss Catbird Feeder? I'm glad you're here. Dial in those load cells. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, Jay Pinky ain't got to do nothing like that. I ain't got no advertising fees going on. Aaron Watkins, what's going on, man? Spring is right around the corner, and that's what I'm talking about. So now is the time we will move into the time of the show where I like to answer questions. Again, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Everybody has to start their journey somewhere, so you can start wherever you would like. I don't care if it's technical. I don't care if it's simple. Whatever it is, we will get there. We will find a way, and if I don't know the answer, I will and am willing to admit that and probably point you towards someone who would be more likely to know the answer. I don't know everything, but I do know a fair amount. I pride myself in the amount of time and research I put into this industry. So, without further ado, we will open the floor to questions that need to be had. And it looks like we've got a lot of football going on right now in the live chat, so I understand if it's going to be slow in the questions because it is January the 20th, and we are in the middle of a Arctic polar vortex, something or another that's piling in, and not really a whole lot to go on lawn-wise. However, I keep hiccuping or something. This is awful. I can jump in here a little bit to say that this is where it's one of those annoying things because, you know, like just watching the fescue in my front yard, it has greened up a fair amount just over the decently warm weather we've had. And now we're going to dip down into the 20s, the low 20s, and it's going to cause a little bit of damage. So you can't, you know, I hope we don't have another fall spring like we did last year. It really caused quite a bit of issues. So I really don't want that to happen. It took Georgia grass forever to green up, maybe until June. And even then it was not all that great. So, you know, it is what it is. All right, now we got some questions coming in. Don's Lawn says the best place to get pre-emergent. Don's Lawns, what are you doing with your pre-emergent? Are you a commercial applicator? Are you a private applicator? Are you a homeowner? Because I could give you about 5 different answers for each of the questions. And the most important aspect of that question is where can you get your pre-emergent the cheapest? What's most important is that you identify the active ingredient you want to use. Once you identify the active ingredient you want to use, make sure it's in a form or a formulation that you feel comfortable mixing. And then if you find the active ingredient you want to use in the form or formulation you feel comfortable mixing, then find it the cheapest you possibly can. Sometimes that's going to be on domyown.com. Sometimes that may be over at Pest World or Pest Pack or Chemical Outfitters. I don't know. There's lots of places that sell it. So typically what I do when I'm looking for the cheapest place to get something online and not through my distributor, for the most part, I do typically buy through a distributor. But if for those of you that have been around me long enough, know I do not like distributors. Outside of that, if you need to buy from a distributor, ask for it by not by trade name like Barricade or Prowl. Ask for it by active ingredient and try and get just the cheapest one you can because, again, it's active ingredient you're looking for. It's not the trade name. So do a quick Google search on the active ingredient you're looking for. And, for instance, if it's prodiamine, search prodiamine 65WDG if you want the water dispersible granule. If you want the liquid, search for prodiamine 4L. Just Google search and then hit that shopping tab. That'll help you out. Oh, I see Jake the Lawn Kid stepping in there. How are you, good sir? Okay, let's see here. I had another question that came in, and it jumped down to the bottom. Let me see. Charity mode, that's what I'm talking about. I watched that earlier. I couldn't help but laugh. here we go. Waiting for spring so I can get some Carbon X. It's coming sooner than you think. Yeah, Popo. What's up, Popo and Son, man? I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I try to get the sleep when I can. I will tonight. I'll get plenty of sleep tonight. Got to get some of that CEC stuff out for golf guys getting ice on the greens. A lot of guys scrambling for a dark product that won't burn. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Also, no, I won't go that far, but yeah, it's something. It is dark. Probably our 818 is darker than the 2404 because the 2404 is blended up with a 4000. So, yeah, maybe that 818 would be good stuff. Oh, I never thought about ice on golf greens. That's a good one to think about there. Dog urine taking its toll over winter here, beyond yellow, even midwinter. What's the best way to correct this ASAP when things warm back up here in the tundra we call Minnesota? Man, if you're in MN, that's got to be Minnesota, right? That's hard for my lack of geographical ability there. If you're in Minnesota right now, yes, you should be beyond yellow. Your lawn should be totally, well, unless you're saying it's yellow from the dog urine. In that case, man, that's just salt burn. The best way to correct this is, man, water it out. So, you know, there was an old environmental scientist I know, and he always told me the solution to pollution is dilution. And that's not meant 100% with accuracy, but in this instance, the dog is creating pollution by over-salting one specific spot. So the best way to correct it is to put water on it to dilute the amount of salt content, flush it, move it out of the zone. Now, the particular issue you're dealing with there is going to be a little bit different. So if the damage is already done, getting it to recover, it may not actually recover. If the crown of the plant is damaged, it's not going to recover. So maybe you can help flush it out with giving it extra water, and the crown of the plant will be fine and it'll produce new leaves. Maybe, since it's happening over winter. Or it's actually caused the damage, and so as soon as the weather breaks, obviously get down more seed. What would you consider to be too much in per thou for the season for KBG? J-Pink, realistically, you could probably get away, depending on how you're mowing it, you could get away with 2.5, 3.5 pounds. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a window there to operate in. There are some people that are operating actually way lower than that. I know Yards Done Right up in Ohio is running somewhere less than 2 pounds per thousand, and this is from a commercial side of things. So commercially, he's running less than 2 pounds per thousand, and he's having no complaints on his yards. So it is possible to go lower. So yeah, there you go. Lambert, what are your thoughts on humic acid this time of year for southern lawns? Lambert, are you talking about completely dormant lawns? Are you talking about lawns with frozen soil? What are you talking about? So the reason is if it's frozen, you don't need to be applying anything. If it's somewhat lazily trying not to kind of going dormant, then yeah, you can go ahead and apply it. So yeah, it depends on what you're looking to do with it. Thoughts on super juice? You can't get enough of it. Go ham. Go ham. Paint your snow. Paint your walls. Get your super juice in and around everywhere you can. Glad you're here, Chris Windorf. Wind was down today, so I sprayed cracks and crevices on 2 properties. I used Spectacle Flow on them because I read it has the same active as Esplanade 200 SC. Did I waste time and product? No, you can use Spectacle Flow on cracks and crevices. So there is one called Spectacle Total that's designed for that. And it is a combination of Spectacle and glyphosate and diquat. So no, you did not waste time. You did fine there, hitting the cracks with your Spectacle. Homeowner DIY St. Augustine grass. There you go. There you go. Best place to get it is the cheapest place you can get it, or whatever's most convenient for you. Let's see here. We jumped to the bottom. Let me hop on up a little bit. Outdoor Concepts Turf Manager. 2 questions. First, go to grub control. I have used lots and lots of imidacloprid over the years, and I've also used a little bit of acelepryn. I never went out widespread with acelepryn as a control product preventatively, but I did use it as a catch-all, as a quote-unquote post-emergent product, and had good success with it there. In fact, when it first came onto the market, I'll never forget my distributor saying, hey, you need to try this and let me know what you think. And I put it out as a curative product, and it worked very well. So initially, when it first came around, I thought acelepryn was a curative product. It wasn't until I started digging deeper and deeper into the label, I was like, wait, this is systemic. My goodness. So, yeah, you should be good there. Second, mixing fungicides and post-emergent herbicides. Can they get too hot and burn fescue? Is that a myth? So if you are talking about fungicides, like anything that ends in like a zol, so propiconazole, tebuconazole, or myclobutanil, those are all DMI fungicides. DMI fungicides can have negative impact on fescue when it's warm outside, all cool season grass. Now, the formulation will have an even bigger impact on that. So I like to run the PPZ 41.8, and there is a high risk, high reward there, because high risk in the sense that it is formulated as not an ester, but with petroleum distillates. So it is a hotter mix from the get-go. But if you're using something that's a 14.3 and is not a petroleum distillate, then typically it would just be higher rates that would cause the issue. But in general, mixing fungicides and post-emergent herbicides is not typically a good thing unless, you know, it's one of those situations where you're running something that likes to operate at similar pHs. So if you're running like a strobilurin and a DMI and, you know, we'll say something like sulfentrazone. It may give you a little bit more damage on your sulfentrazone than you're accustomed to, but it won't be likely and, you know, long-term, like kill the fescue kind of thing. So depending on your long story short, if you're using a DMI with a post-emergent herbicide, yes, it can make it too hot. It can make your fungicide too hot, and it can make your post-emergent too hot. So just be careful that understand what mode of action you're using with your fungicide, and therefore make your post-emergent herbicide control as needed. Matt, how much biochar are we getting with the Apicarbon X at the high rate? That is a little bit of proprietary information, Ollie, but what I can say is that it is enough to slowly make available the other nutrients that are in Carbon X. But I can't get into exactly how much is in it. Otherwise, it could be really easily reverse engineered. And though we do have a patent on the product, lawsuits are very expensive, and we're a startup with no revenue. So we don't really want to go down that route. So we're just kind of trying to protect IP the best that we can right now. Can I add Quicksilver to my atrazine mix to speed it up? Yes, back to nature, you certainly can. In fact, that's a very good, solid mix there. Quicksilver and atrazine, very, very good. I like your thought direction that's going with that. You can get super juice in a bag now. Do you spread the super juice in a bag? How do you work with it? What kind of cool weather grass do you think is best to hold up against dogs? Mike R., there is no cool weather grass that will hold up against dogs. Unfortunately, that is not something that is ever going to work with one another. Super Juice is now for sale, private label. Excellent. Excellent. Any chance of Carbon X with a lower N input so we can get more carbon in the ground more often? Yes, Bird Dog. So we are finalizing those labels right now. Again, you know, right now, we are, the big focus is just getting our process dialed in. And once we have our process dialed in, then we'll be able to shift on recipes really easily, because we've got a whole host of different products that we want to put out. Some are going to be very specific to niche agriculture. Some will be very specific to turf type. Some will be very specific to regions. So yes, there will be lots and lots of lower analysis products than the 2404. However, as we made our entryway into the market, we wanted something that would be most familiar to the market. And we all said a 2505 was probably the most well-known analysis of anything on the market currently. And so that was why we were able to math out a 2404 pretty easily. Is Carbon X the best OSU turf, man? What are you doing here, sir? Best lawn care product to come along in the last 20 years? No, definitely not. There are lots of things I can think of. Let's see, that would be since 99. One, I would say Celsius as an herbicide was pretty revolutionary. Spectacle as an herbicide was pretty revolutionary. All the strobilurin fungicides that were released since 99 were very revolutionary. Let's see, fertilizer-wise, I would say the Super Rainbow series that was put out, the homogenized Super Rainbow, was revolutionary, and all I would say are better than what we're doing with Carbon X. I'm really proud of what we're doing with Carbon X, but we still, I think this is just kind of the start for us, and where we want to go is going to be so much further. But in terms of the best lawn care product to come out along the last 20 years, no way. That's wishful thinking on my end. If I were to say yes, it would be purely out of spite and just to toot my own ego. How about that, OSU turf man? That's what I'm saying. By the way, good job on growing in your overseeded Bermuda grass. I hope you feel more like a man. That was a joke. I laid turf type tall fescue sod this past week with Brandon R. Oh, awesome. Glad y'all got to hang out, Thomas. With the temps dropping down to the 20s tonight, will the sod be okay? Also, was the best way to get it rooted? Yes, the sod will be okay. When you have growing weather, the best way to get it rooted is with water, right? So really, that's what the roots want. They want water. So any way you can get the water beyond the level of the sod and into the subsurface will be the best way to get it rooted. If you need to stimulate that, if you feel like you're not getting good rooting, you can do something that contains both humic acid and kelp. Because of the synergistic effect, you're going to increase root mass and root production. So that may be a good way to go. Look at something like high rates of RGS, 3 ounces per 9 ounces per thousand. 9 ounces per thousand. A lawn care affair from Southern Maryland. What is going on, Stephen Wingate? Chris, future farmer, how are you, good sir? Does it matter if you have different varieties of St. Augustine in your lawn? Eric, it just depends on if you want it or not. Obviously, if you watch any of the Lawn Care Nuts videos, he's got many different varieties, all kinds of different stuff going on. You just have to be more aware as an applicator and make the best decisions possible, because it can get froggy out there. So just understand what you're working with. But does it really matter? No. Let's see. I've got weeds popping up in my fescue due to the warm weather. Should I leave it alone until spring? William, you can. It's up to you. If it's super cold, which I know it is over in Memphis right now, you may want to do something like an ester-based herbicide, something like Momentum FX2. And you're dealing with fescue too, you could also do like some triclopyr ester as well. Both of those will work very well in cool weather. Matt, I want Carbon X. Where I'll be able to buy it? Dan, I will give you 3 ways to buy Carbon X. You can, if you're a homeowner, then you want to contact either Pete Denning with GCI Turf or Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. If you're a professional applicator, you want to reach out to Greene County Fertilizer. Let's see here. 1 bag per 2 acres with breakdown of 1408 or whatever it is. What is that? Casey, I'm trying to follow you here. 1 bag per 2 acres with breakdown. 1 bag per 2 acres. You're gonna have to clear that up for me, Casey. I can't follow along with that. Matt, your honest opinion on Super Juice. How can they get what is claimed in 1 bag? Dry sprayable? What quality can you actually get from that? And my mom and dad are in there. Hey, Dad. Hey, Mom. How are y'all? I honestly, I'll tell you, Nathan, I don't know what's even in Super Juice. I know it's got marking dye in it. I know it's got a powdered form of humate in it. And does it even have anything else other than that? I mean, does it maybe have a little iron in it or something? So it's basically chelated iron, and it's chelated with a humic source. So I mean, it's fine if it's cheap. If it's like $6 or $7 a gallon, then yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. But for concentrate, that is. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. If somebody wants to throw a label into the chat, I will try and look at it while I answer questions. So there we go. Let's see here. Should I go 3/4 rate or 1/4 rate and be fine? Back to nature palms. I can't remember what your question was. Is that about the carfentrazone and atrazine? I mean, you can run a 3/4 rate. I mean, there wouldn't be an issue with that. Or you could split it up into 2 apps and do a half and a half. Matt, wouldn't be the best time or temp to apply Air 8 this spring. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama. Michael, I would wait till probably April in your time frame. I would say March, April is you're beginning to transition into green up. That is when I would do it. Transitioning into green, make your application. For tall fescue yards, do you anticipate a long green up due to the crazy weather we've been getting in the East Coast? Potentially lawn fix, and it also depends on how you've put it to sleep. If you put it to sleep with ammoniacal nitrogen, oh man, I forgot to hit the button. If you put it to sleep with ammoniacal, Did I lose the camera? Oh, we're back. Let's see. Okay, we're back. Let's see. If you put it to sleep with ammoniacal nitrogen, it is going to have a quicker green up than it will be if you put it to sleep with urea nitrogen. That's just the way it works. So, I would say not necessarily, as long as it wouldn't affect cool season grass like it would warm season grass. It can begin to starve the plant a little bit, but just understand that typically it's going to be okay. Should I hold off on application until I can water my Dithvere in? Weather is jumping down into teens tomorrow and irrigation is winterized. Want to put it down late January, but temps are erratic. Yeah, if you're frozen into the teens, I would not put it down. Hold on to it. What's up, Richard Nettles? How are you, good sir? Bear 3-1 weed and feed has 0.027 in Dazaflam. Is this spectacle? Looks like a poor man's option for spectacle. I need goose protection. Yes, Bird Dog, that is. Indaziflam is the same active ingredient in spectacle. Typically, what you're looking for would be a total AI rate of somewhere around 6 ounces per 1,000, 6 ounces per acre, as that would equate to the liquid option. I don't know what that is in terms of AI per acre, but in terms of product per acre, it would be 6 ounces per 1,000. So you can math into that. I got a little presentation about that. Need your help walking me through. What's up, Ray? What are you doing in here, buddy? Good to see your name, sir. Need your help walking me through the math theorem detailing that someone can go from a 14:4 bag ratio to a 7:1 bag ratio, be putting half the rate down. Asking for a friend. Okay. So if you have a bag that is a 14:4 and you apply it at 2 pounds per 1,000, then you have a bag of a 7:1 and apply it at 2 pounds per 1,000, you're putting half the rate down. You would have to apply 4 pounds per 1,000 of a 7:1 to equal the same rate as a 2 pound per 1,000 rate of 14:4. I hope that helps. Matt, I have quite a bit of fungus damage in my Georgia lawn, South Louisiana. Anything I can do this time of year to help it rebound well in the spring, early summer? No, probably not. I would just let it do its thing over winter, and then as it does begin coming out of dormancy, just make sure you are aggressive with both your mowing and your fertility program too. Probably also a fungicide program. Back to nature, can zoysia be mowed under 1 inch? Yes, if you reel mow it. I would not, unless it is perfectly flat, I wouldn't even try that with a rotary. I don't think a rotary has enough horsepower. But yes, real mode, you can definitely take it under 1 inch. Overrun with what I think is wild mustard on some yards. Going out with round 1 using Prodiamine for preem, adding Quicksilver as kicker for Bermuda. Am I close? MSM better than Quicksilver? Yes, I would use Quicksilver because it will be likely too cool for MSM to have any real quick effect. So I would do 3-way and Quicksilver, or a 2,4-D ester and Quicksilver. 2,4-D ester will be much more effective on that wild mustard than just a 3-way will, and it's cheap, and adding the Quicksilver to it will give you an extra oomph. Let's see here. Real answer is nutrient percentage in leaf tissue is about a 712 between warm cool season. Doc is guessing, but that's the answer. Lazy approach to formulating. That's right. That's right. I probably shouldn't have read that out loud. I kind of got lost in the world there. The bag is always 14:2:4. The bag ratio won't go down because you apply at a lower rate. That's right. Let's see here. If I want to create a Bermuda lawn, would you recommend a warm or cool season plan? John, you're going to have to run a hybrid. So I would not run probably a cool season plan. It would look more like a warm season plan, but there would be some strategic applications of nitrogen in the fall to push out that bluegrass before you make your transition to warm season. So typically in January, or when I would put it to sleep, say like November timeframe, when the Bermuda is really starting to go dormant, I would run high rate of ammoniacal nitrogen, let it go to sleep that way. Then as it comes out of dormancy, the bluegrass will be absolutely screaming out of the ground. Maybe make one more application of ammoniacal nitrogen, and then let it go until the bluegrass is really starting to back down in terms of performance. And then you start to get that first little... I'd probably just let it ride until it looks primarily Bermuda grass, and then maybe do one FERDAP on the Bermuda. So it's it's kind of a tough. It's not an easy thing to do. I will say that. Look at this. Ray says run both MSM and Quicksilver. There you go. Hey, for anybody that saw that presentation, 3 modes of action is better than 2 modes of action, and is 86 times less likely to develop resistance at 3 modes of action versus 2. How about them apples? I got some magic powder in a Ziploc bag. Would mix well with super juice. Of course you do. Ollie, of course you do. Let's see. Toby Howard, has anyone watermelons? Carbon X is just a fertilizer. Good fertilizer, but not the second coming. No, it is not. Is nitrogen in Carbon X slow release? 30% of it is. I used Quick with MSM, except around oak trees. Seen damage with my own eyes, especially on open fields. On small areas, not as much due to the total usage around the tree. That's right. I can tell you right now. MSM is a very serious thing. As a general rule of thumb, a ½ ounce to the acre kills weeds. 1 ounce to the acre kills trees, and 2 ounces to the acre kills everything. So be careful, be careful, be careful. Whoa, we jumped down to the bottom here. Let me get going here. Let's see. Why is the grass green at Arrowhead Field? That's funny. That is funny. How do you feel about using a PGR in tall fescue? I have not had good success with it in the transition zone. I've not been able to time it accurately to get both the growth regulatory effects and being able to keep disease out of it. So if you are to go that route, I would probably start something like the 1st of April when there's no risk of disease pressure, and go ahead and put down your PGR and an application of fungicide. And then leading up to that 28-day, make another application. So this is going to put you at the end of April, on the verge of disease season. Make your second application of PGR and fungicide. Probably something like a strobilurin, where you can be guaranteed you're going to get 28 days out of it. Then make your third application. And then you might be able to back it out as you move into the late end of the season. But it's high risk, high high reward. I'll tell you that, Stephen Wingate. 40 pound for over 2 acres. Fail. Yeah, I read that too, Ray, and that was immediately what I was thinking. Pounds on the ground per acre. Math does not add up. There we go. There we go. Super juice lawn fertilizer nutrients. 14% nitrogen to okay, and then how big is the package? You need at least a 140 pound. Yeah, I would say 140 pounds to the acre. I was gonna say, if you did 100 pounds to the acre, that would give you 14 pounds of nitrogen to the acre. Yeah, I'd probably even say, me personally, I'd probably go double that. So I would say something like 200 pounds to the acre would be something that would get me closer to excited. So yeah, 200 pounds of that to the acre, and yeah, you're dealing with a decent little fertilizer there. It's got some copper, some manganese, some magnesium, some zinc. Let's see, it's low in the magnesium. I like that. It's got a little bit of zinc. I like that, and some humic acid and kelp. Yeah, so it is basically. So this is being touted as a fertilizer. I'll tell you this right now. This is not a fertilizer. So you could drop it in the tank and spray it, and I'm sure it'll turn things green. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if you like it, by all means, y'all wear it out. Wear it out. I need to call Greene County on more Carbon X info. In 4 weeks, I'm starting my first round. Maybe I'll wait to see you at Longology Summit to ask you a million questions before I pull the trigger. By all means, feel free. Back to nature. That is what I'm there for. Tim, what's going on, man? Any suggestions on controlling broom sedge and Dallas grass? Running low on MSMA. The only thing you have for Dallas grass would be fall applications of Celsius and Revolver. In terms of broom sedge, no. Ideally, if you could reel mow it, then yeah, you could get rid of it. It does not like to be cut at a super low height of cut. But it can, in terms of herbicides, I really just don't think there's anything you can do there for broom sedge. Important to see the derivatives too, because it's cheap stuff. Not that the cheap stuff is bad, but it's robbery at $5 plus a pound. That's a good point. I didn't think about that, OSU Turf Man. I'm not going to go through it right here. I will do that off air, of course. First fertilizer of the app of the year on tall fescue, go out at the low rate or high rate to start the year off. It depends on the condition of your yard, Ollie, and how you put it to bed. If you put it to bed with slow release ammoniacal nitrogen, then I would do the low rate. If you put it to bed with no nitrogen or a urea source, I'd probably go high rate, something like that. 13.6 bag to cover an acre. Super juice. Yeah, something like that. If that's a 10-pound bag, I would rather see something closer to 200 pounds to the acre total. So whatever gets you that. Let's see, Matt clearly hasn't seen the actual super juice release. I have not seen the super juice release. Someone do that. Let's see. Would there be any adverse effects if you apply growth regulator 4 consecutive months? As long as you don't exceed your yearly maximum, then no, you'll be fine. You'll definitely be fine. 13.6 pounds for 2 acres. No, it should be something like 140 to 200 pounds. 200 pounds would give you just over a quarter pound of nitrogen going down. So you got a lot more to go than that. Let's see. How will Carbon X work in the Northeast cool season lawn with a lot of moss conditions? Are you talking about Northeast moss conditions because of shade? Are you talking about why do you have moss conditions? And Carbon X has ammoniacal nitrogen and a slew of micronutrients that are slowly delivered through the utilization of biochar. So would it work in the Northwest cool season lawn? Yeah, it's because it's the sources of the fertilizer. It's the biostimulants in the fertilizer. It's everything coming together in the total package that make the fertilizer the fertilizer. It's not that it's designed for a specific area. Again, it's feeding grass. All grass needs to be fed. Therefore, if you apply it in the way that you want to apply it, then it will have a positive effect on the turf you're trying to treat. So will Carbon-X work there? Yeah, absolutely. Any fertilizer should work there. So why you would see discrepancies between one working better than the other may have to do with soil temperature, ambient air temperature, sunlight, daylight, water, soil moisture levels. And that's why I kind of wanted to combine a whole bunch of things into it to balance out basically wherever you were, the overall effect from it. I hope that answers the question there. What is your opinion on humectants such as hydrotane, Cascade, etc.? I read a study from Clemson University and came away from the reading that the results were mixed at best. It's one of those things, I like it, but you have to understand how to use it. So I like hydrotane when I'm doing a big renovation project, and no doubt it definitely works. I don't care what the data says, I love it. Absolutely love it. However, if we are talking about using hydrotane in a lawn care program to delay the onset of running irrigation, I don't know how quickly that works because, again, it's going to be timing-wise. You're going to have to apply it when you have high soil moisture leading into a period where you're about to go really low soil moisture. So it's not an easy thing to time or do. So I prefer to use it when you specifically know what kind of output you're looking for and can plan for it accordingly. What is the best source of sprayable azoxystrobin that doesn't cost $50,000? Tully Coleman, I don't know. The only way I know how to get it costs literally $50,000. Let's see here. Let's see. The lawn stripes. Matt, Lakeland, Florida, Wicomer, Bermuda, had brown patches and applied 3 ounces per 1,000 rated propiconazole. Area I sprayed were shining brown the next morning. Remained so 2 weeks later. Bad move. What is your 3 ounce per 1,000? What kind of propiconazole is it? Is it 41.8? Because that should be applied to something like 1 ounce per 1,000. If it's the 14.3, I think the high rate on that is 3 ounces per 1,000. Maybe the high rate is 2 ounces per 1,000. You know, but again, if you're dealing with brown patches, it could be dormancy setting in. You could have cut off the color and it's just not pushing out new top growth. It could have been a little bit of damage from the propiconazole, but I'll tell you right now, you're going to be fine. As soon as it comes out of dormancy, like good, yeah, you can definitely go out with it. Horse Doggy, is there a preventative for chinch bugs? Yes, you can apply something like a Celiprin. A Celiprin, I believe, is preventative for chinch bugs. What's a good DIY source for ammoniacal nitrogen? Everything I'm seeing in my area is urea, more urea. Dave Reese, I have no idea. I'm not a DIY guy, so I'm not going to be able to answer those questions. I'm still burying snow. Hey, what's up, Michael Poole? Glad you're here, man. Go-to mix for first-time callers. 700 and Air 8, 700 in micros, or 700 a humic 12. So 700 is really high in iron, right? So, and it also has a humic and kelp content. So in terms of mixing those, I don't really see a whole lot of need. But if you wanted to follow up, I like the idea of running like a 700 followed by an Air 8 application. I wouldn't mix those two because 700 is low pH and it has dissolved metals in it. So you think iron is a metal, iron sulfate is a metal, and it becomes soluble, more soluble at a lower pH. If you take Air 8, a high pH caustic material, and add it with 700, it may cause some of it to come out of solution. It may cause some of it to begin oxidizing and will increase the potential for it to stain. So you could do follow-up applications, and I really like that. Either going with Air 8 first or going with 700 followed by Air 8. 700 and micros, again, I wouldn't necessarily combine those two either. although they'll play well together, but that's a crap ton of micronutrients at one time. Really high rate of iron, followed by a lower rate of iron, but a little bit of everything else in it. That's a lot of metal going into that plant at one time. So probably the way I got it, I would go either 700 first, followed by aerate, or you could run the 700 and Humic 12 together. I think that will definitely be fine. So you'd be good there. Let's see. This thing is jumping all over the place. Let's see. How much carbon X pounds been on Georgia and St. Augustine, North Florida, South Alabama for the year? So for North Florida, something like that, you know, from Georgia grass, I'd like somewhere around like 3 pounds of N, something like that. Just not you don't have to hammer it. And there's lots of things you can do with just going easy with your N out there, and then getting your color from a little bit of iron. So max in that type scenario, you know, probably something like 3 pounds. I used to run 4 pounds of N in Georgia. This is going to be eastern Georgia, Augusta area, and I still was kind of shooting myself in the foot doing it. It was just way too much. And as I began to back it down and be a little more complete with my nutrition, it started to get a little bit better. So yeah, I'd definitely back off that rate a little bit. Matt, the SJ is not a granular. It's like a pre-mix that you mix with water and marking dye. Oh, the super juice. Yeah, it's not a granular, but still it would require that amount to really do anything. So at 100 pounds, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. So if you did 100 pounds, that would be 14 pounds into an acre. So roughly a third of a pound of N would go out with 100 pounds. So it doesn't matter if you're putting that out as a liquid or as a dissolvable premix formula. The pounds on the ground is still only a third pound of N if you're putting out 100 pounds of that product. So it doesn't matter what it says on it. It matters that you're actually getting down the right amount of material, right? So I hope that kind of answers the question. Let's see. Do you recommend using surfactant right now with ester-based herbicide with the temps right now? Yes, with the temps the way they are right now, absolutely. Use a surfactant with your ester-based management. I think I should just keep my hands out of my Bermuda till it heats up. That's probably not a bad idea. You can't give Brady 2 minutes. You just can't. To be clear, I think... I'm not going to say that out loud. Chris, I'm not. Michael Gwillen, hey Matt, I've been watching your videos for a while now. Finally made one of your live chats. What words of wisdom do you have for someone starting their own pest control biz in Florida in 2019? Michael Gillen, invest the time and research into yourself and your company. It is going to be painful. It is going to be a struggle, and be ready for the ride. It's always a hustle. Always sell. Always sell. It's always a hustle. Don't give up, but it will be painful. Did I make myself clear? Dave Reese, I did a video. If you search the grass factor ammonium sulfate, I go really deep into everything you want to know about it. For those of you that don't know, I will be doing the podcast with Ryan Knorr coming up here soon. So everybody get ready for that. That is going to be an absolute riot of a time. I'm super excited for that. We are going to be doing that on Wednesday, actually. It will be Wednesday, maybe something like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I will let him do all the plugging and things of that sort. So Wednesday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I will be doing the podcast with Ryan Knorr. In the meantime, I'll tell you what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go to bed since I have slept less than 20 hours in the last 7 days, and I've got to get up tomorrow and get back at it all over again. For those that have reached out for Carbon X information, I apologize. I have been in Kentucky the last week, so I don't have internet access out there. I've got a little bit of phone reception, but not much, and this past week was just absolutely insanely intense. So Now that I'm through that, I've got some time to actually sit down in front of the computer now and answer some questions. So until then, I'm going to go ahead and call it because I need to go to bed. I appreciate everybody tuning in. For those of you that are wondering how to get in touch with me, you can always check me out on the Discord at discord.gg/HFVSF53. I lurk over at the Lawn Forum at thelawnforum.com. I usually do not comment there because the members of that community know way more about turfgrass than I do. You can follow me over on Instagram at The Grass Factor. You can also check me out at Carbon Earth Co. on Instagram. I think I posted a little bit of tidbits as to what was going on with the plant. I shared mostly the good, not the bad, and that's by design. You can also shoot me an email at thegrassfactor@gmail.com. And please, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. That's what lets me know to keep going. As time goes on, I've got a few more videos here in the works. Again, I'm still working on this video on building programs for professional lawn care applicators with Carbon X. Every time I get a little bit of progress in it, I've got to take off to Kentucky, so I apologize for not getting it out yet. I'm trying. I am only one man. I'm trying my best. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I mean that, and I love y'all all very, very much. Thank you so much for tuning in.